Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another one of them sit down and have a deep conversation sessions of the African Speaks, where we are focused on the rise of the African, which is our social media Pan-African movement, where we are seeking to bring black people together from way across the waters, wherever we travel, wherever we go. We are trying to make sure that we put out must-see live stream, live stream, because again we want the rise of the African, that God in you, to manifest itself in you, where you are more aware of who you are, whose you are, and what you're called to produce and be. This is what we do. And so if you're watching us at any given time, what we would like for you to do, because we do multiple programs throughout the week. Sunday is Akibaland Inspirational Sunday. Tuesday night, African Speaks. Thursday night is After Stream, which is global news. And then Saturdays, and I'll be out of town this Saturday. I'll be driving my daughter to her summer internship in Miami. Yeah, so we'll be out of town this week. However, everything else is rolling. So if you happen to be watching us on Facebook, please click, let's see, like, comment, and share. This is how we connect to the diaspora. This is how we let individuals in the diaspora know who think about a unified people, who think from a Pan-African perspective, who think that we should be able to come together to provide ourselves with the necessities in life, so that we can be a better people, a people unto the Creator. So please do those things: like, comment, and share. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the notification bell, hit subscribe and the notification bell, so anytime that we're live streaming, anytime that we're going public, you will get a notification to what we are putting together. Again, we are focused on the rise of the African. Now, for those who tuned in last week, there was a whole mouthful last week. And so we're going to continue this conversation, and we're going to build on this conversation today, because last week we were talking about the black power potential. And I sat down and said, I can chew on this for a good minute. There was so much meat on this bone that we can just talk about it. So if there's an area in black life that you want to discuss, let's talk about it, because we're going to talk about the black power potential. And now when we said potential, we talked about the issue of energy and the fact that there are two forms of energy. And we said those two forms of energy is that kinetic energy and then potential energy. So kinetic energy is what we do. And we described that you have two areas of kinetic energy. You have that divine kinetic energy, and then you have wasted energy, kinetic energy. Things where you're pouring your actions out, and you're doing something, and it actually literally was never created to produce anything. And that's that wasted energy. And so a lot of times in this environment in which we live in, we run in our circles round and round with kinetic energy, not even tapping into the true potential of who we are as a people. Now, with potential energy is when an object is placed in a position of discomfort, out of its comfort zone. So if you again, example, as long as this is sitting on my desk, there's no potential energy here. But if I hold it up in the air, it has potential energy. Why? Because the weight and the pull, and then how much I throw it down, will create energy. And that's energy. That is kinetic energy. Potential is what we're going to do. Now, I can sit down and throw it. That adds to the velocity of its moving, what the potential is. And so we say that the black power potential is what the opportunity that the African diaspora has, that we're sitting on. We are already in our discomfort zone, moving toward a comfort zone where we're living in a life that is pleasing to us. How much potential is there for us to manifest that? Now, and again, we're talking about, and I broke it down where we're dealing with potential energy, the mass, the gravitational pull, and the height. Our mass is going to be our need to be our own people. The mass weight to be able to be defined, to be self-determined, to be accountable for the basic necessities in life: food, clothes, shelter, education, housing. Well, food, clothes, shelter, that's housing. Education, finance, you name it. That is the mass. That is the weight of responsibility that we must carry. The gravitational pull depends on the amount of discomfort we are in. Mm. How much, or it could be, how much do you hear the Creator calling you to produce something different in the life that you live in? How much of your ancestors saying that, we saying, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams, but you ain't produce anything. You just living. And so when you're looking at our potential energy, we have to realize our reality first. You got to realize black reality. They about to sit down, and the brother who just went to who shot up a Mark shopping center. They're gonna sit down and say, "Oh, he's mentally ill." No, he was racially motivated. Because if he was mentally ill, he would have went to the one in his neighborhood, not shooting black folk, but his folk. That's when you don't really care, and you're not going to an area where there are black people there, and you're going to shoot the black security guard first. No. Mm-mm. And so we're dealing with that. And I saw somebody post saying, "Man, not again. We're not about to do this insanity thing." Ain't that something? Of course, what else can you say? That's the best defense. So what about happens? We're the ones who are living with the post-traumatic slave syndrome. We're the ones who are living with post-traumatic stress disorder. We're the ones who have to assimilate into a culture that doesn't give us an identity as a people. We're the ones who are living mentally ill. But why are we the less violent when it comes to racial crime? Now, that black on black crime ain't no joke. That's the level of self-hate. But where do you think that comes from? The hating of self. You're living in a culture that doesn't show your value. And so when you take a look at how we're living, you can understand that the opportunity for black power, the potential is there, because the need is great. And so in this space of looking at black reality, the first thing I said, well, we're going to talk about tonight our potential for mass communication. Our potential for mass communication. Now, there are levels to this particular conversation. And in this conversation alone, there's so much meat on that bone that you could eat. It's so much meat. The black potential for mass communication that helps stimulate black power. Wow. That's different. Because you see a bunch of mass communications going on, but it doesn't stimulate black power. We want to fight again. We want to fight for the system for these schools, right? And I said, well, why are you fighting for them to put certain particular types of education in our schools when we should be building our own schools? We want to argue about hospitals. Well, we should be building our own hospitals. You want to argue about food? We should be supporting black farmers and getting organic foods and having our own food marts. But then we got to be able to talk about these things. So being able to communicate with each other is the first. Because at one point in time, when we weren't allowed to read and write. So communication we couldn't even talk if massa didn't tell us it was okay. So we would walk and we would nod. That's where we get that what's up from. Without a word, you walking by somebody, you hear eye to eye. Mass communication. at its minimal. That's why they didn't want us playing drums when we first got over here, because we would learn how to communicate with each other. You could hear brother masterminding through drums and people talking through drums. So no chanting. Why? Because you didn't want to communicate with your ancestors. There's a whole lot that they stopped, but mass communication is important to experiencing the Black Power potential. How do I know? We're going to use this good brother, Marcus Garvey, as an example. Marcus Garvey created the UNIA. The UNIA was in like over 1,000 chapters in 40 countries and over 6 million members, focused on the development of black people. Where we get to live in this world in the 1919s? 1919. My church founder was raised through the 1920s. Definitely influenced. There is not a leader coming out of the civil rights movement that was not influenced by Marcus Garvey. There's not too many people. I mean, Bob Marley, most of it's Garvey. Malcolm X, forget Malcolm X. Elijah Muhammad, Garvey. Everybody was a Garveyite who was conscious about knowing who we are as a people. There was not one being at that time, Garvey. But when I sit down and I talk to people and I say, yo, yeah, a lot of people are telling me I'm walking in Garvey footsteps. I remember public speaking somewhere, and they were yelling Marcus Garvey Jr. And then when I talk to people and I'm like, yo, if you want to know me, you got to know who Garvey is. And if you know who Garvey is, you know what my passion is. My passion is to see black people respected regardless what land we put our feet in, wherever we exist. Now, in that space of his time, communication was letters, was newspapers, articles, and it was traveling, and it was talking face to face and word to word. So he had to speak. And so when he came to the States, after he left Jamaica, he came to the States and he was listening to this preacher in this big stadium. And so when he first started talking, his audio ability wasn't what it could be to pull the masses communication. So he had to adapt the way he spoke to pull the masses. Now, what I was trying to download was a picture of the parade in Harlem. And if you've never seen it before, look up Marcus Garvey parade in Harlem and look at how many people were there. It was the biggest thing I'd ever seen. Biggest thing ever. Ever. Under one organization. Now, the Nation of Islam did the Million Man March. Now, it was a beautiful thing that they attempted to do spiritually, to align ourselves with the Creator so we can get together and we can atone. We can atone as a people. There's certain blessings that can be poured onto us as a people, because we got to be a people of God, not an individual God. The more we are a people of God, the more we'll be able to obtain in terms of spiritual blessings. Individuals, individuals get through, but if I don't know what faith you in, but no faith that I know, whether it be Christianity, whether it be Islam, or whether it be traditional African culture, it's all about peoplehood, not about the individual. And because our indoctrination, we're not talking about, we need to get together. We need to have over 1,000 chapters. We need to have 6 million members. We need to be in 40 countries. Speaking about the red, the black, and the green, the unification of a people, so that we can define ourselves and make sure wherever we are in the diaspora, we're good. And so, I've shown this clip before, where we see the top 20 locations in the world that holds the African diaspora. Brazil got 82,300,000 African people of African descent. United States, 46,400,000 people of African descent. Haiti, 11 million of African descent. Mexico, I never knew this until I saw a video of a brother who went into Mexico, and he went to the heart of Mexico, to where in this particular area everybody is a descendant from African descent, because Africa escaped. The Africans or the slaves escaped to Mexico, and there was an area of Mexico that they populated, and that's all that's there. Dark-skinned Africans in Mexico. What? Yes, the video is on YouTube. We might do that discussion. 6,300,000 people of African descent. Venezuela, 5,800,000. Colombia, 4,900,000. United Kingdom, 3,300,000. See these millions? Democratic Republic, 3 million. Jamaica, 2 million, 2.9 million. Cuba, 2 million. Can you see it? Do I have to go on about the African diaspora and the black power potential when it comes to mass communication? What did Garvey do, and what did he have that we didn't have right now? He had the concept of we needing to be a people. He had the idea of we needing to be a people. He had the spirit that we need to be a people. And he had the dialogue and we need to be a people. And what happened then was the brutality of the African American people here and everywhere else. The brutality was so hard. Life was so hard. When you spoke about living a better life, it resonated with you because you knew what you weren't. And so the science of systematic oppression is clear. If we give them a better life, they fight less. If we give them a better life, they fight less. Why? But they will be governed by another particular struggle. We already consider the mark of slavery is existed in every black person. The mark of slavery is existed even in white folks with the false notion of superiority. They have a false notion of superiority. We have a false notion of inferiority. Ain't that something? Now, in this space where we are given more freedoms, we're given more civil rights movements, because black life has been so hard and it's ingrained in our mindset. Wait. It's ingrained in us. They know that, we can open up the pathways and give them, they will still be slaves to a system because they're not thinking about nothing else. They don't really want to deal with life on a hard level, feeding and clothing and housing yourself. If we govern who they are, a slave will always be a slave. But when you come, as many people as we have, as spiritual as we are, when you come in contact to the power of God, you think about just being free, living from your own steam, according to how you see God fit. But what's happening to us with our freedoms, we're dealing more with escapism. The tendency to avoid reality, the tendency to seek distractions from everyday life. Ain't that something? I have a friend who's a millionaire. When she called me today and we had a conversation, she wanted to know how things was going with me, and I'm dropping information, right? She gave me the up on technology. This is when I started building World of Akiba Land some years ago. And said, how's it going? Oh, man. So I went down and started explaining where I'm at. And what I've noticed, and I told her, I said, well, what I noticed in this space, when you're dealing with, if I'm dealing with the issue of making money, everybody's on it. And we're going to be talking about that later, but we're going to be talking about it as an organization, not as an individual. Now, can I help bring finances to your life? Yeah. Can I bring it to mine? Absolutely. Have I brought it to mine? Yeah. Now, I'm not on a millionaire status, but I'm going to be shooting for it soon. Right? But my thing is, I need my people to wake up from this. Because when we have freedom to be able to interact with each other, what do we do with it? Most of the things in terms of when we using the issues of communication, we have to fight this first. We have to fight this first. We wait, get my finger right. There we go. Got to point it that way, away from myself. Because I'm trying to point it to, yeah, I'm not pointing to the lion. Yeah, I'm pointing to, see my finger disappear? Right there. Escapism. And this is what we got to do because a lot of us using social media, well, when you free a slave and the slave deals with life, that's why drug abuse was so high in our communities. Escapism. Let's give them these drugs and they'll disappear in their mind. So what's the new drug? Dopamine. How are they getting through dopamine? Through the Internet of Things. What? Now, there is an opportunity here using the Internet of Things. That's a new way to say everything online. It's a whole, as you see a little I, the O, and the T, an Internet of Things, and the way they describe a new platform. But everything is about to be online. Everything is about to be in the cloud. Everybody is communicating, and I wish I had a chart that showed you how many numbers, how many billions of people are watching things, streaming things, and then individuals who are, the brother who passed away. I don't even give him, one love. He did what he had to do to feed himself. Okay, and that's what is happening in terms of how we're using the Internet of Things. Either we are using for pure entertainment or just pure individual profit. And the most things that usually go live or go viral are negative things. Negative things. And this is why we say in the beginning, on the Internet of Things, if you really want to well, we're going to move on to that because that's coming. So in the Internet of Things, what is the black potential for mass communication? In our time, it's right here. How are we using this? What are we doing with this? Now, when you want to take a look at it, it's a part of who we are. It's a part of daily life right now. Especially with COVID being as rampant as it was, and they was restricting movement, restricting interaction, restricting encounters. Whether you believed in COVID or disbelieved in COVID, you had to respect social distancing. Now, and I had a conversation with one of my boys about that today. Now, I'm not going to ever say that COVID was not real, because it was. But the process of taking care of yourself, that's should be given to somebody else. Now, that's something different. Taking care of yourself, that's something different. So how I took care of myself in the midst of that, I amped up. And so everybody, but during this time, everybody had to learn how to, even if you never did it before, you had to learn how to use the Internet of Things. You had to know how to get around. Teachers had to learn how to teach. Pastors had to know how to preach. Companies who had positions, and I had to do this for the company that I work for. I was responsible for getting individuals who had never had a laptop, never been online, and never had VPN. Then I had to empty an entire building and get these people home because I was watching individuals yakking in the building and older women crying because there was somebody in the building just yakking, not covering their mouth. I'm sitting there shaking my head and people are crying because of what was happening. And so they sent me the laptops. I had to train people and get them out. Internet of Things. Everybody had to figure out how to make this work. Individuals who had to close their businesses had to find a way to make money online. Individuals who didn't have jobs found ways to make money online. So this became viable for everybody. And so this became, and now I did this particular presentation years ago, maybe about 10 years ago in my community, and it fell on deaf ears. I broke it all the way down to the simplest form. Deaf ears. Why? Because we could only see the Internet of Things for the issues of escapism, not as a tool of mass communication. So when a lot of people, a lot of organizations, spiritual organizations was looking at online, it was like, yeah, we don't need no part of that. Why? I said, because when you look out there, what are people doing? That's not for us. And it had to become for everybody. You can even do doctor's appointments online now. That's ridiculous. How are you going to do that? Now, like when you go in there, you get blood and they want to talk to you. Yeah, they call you and give you a screen. Hey, let's talk on the phone. See your doctor, you're talking. Yeah, well, let's continue doing this. And here, we upgraded your prescription and go. And we'll let you know the next time you have to come and take a sample. So you come in, take a sample, you leave, and they check it and they call you. They keep you out of office. Wherever you go, bleep, bleep, bleep. They're taking your temperature. Now, they had to use this. No more escapism. They needed the Internet of Things. They had to find ways to build certain infrastructure to function from the Internet of Things. They walked away from this and came into this. Now the question is, how do we produce what Garvey produced, which is a people struggling together to build something for black folk? Now, of course, the government deported him and he didn't have the right people in place to continue. Happens. But we got to be able to look at our history and not repeat it. So how do we get that from this? 6 million. Now, I always telling people, and I've had this several times where I had to discuss algorithms. Algorithms is the science behind mass communication for the sake of the rise of the African. The black power potential here is right here. So when I sit down and I tell you, could you please, wait, let me get it. I gotta reset that. Hit like, hit comment, and share. It's the minimum algorithm for Facebook. It's the minimum algorithm for people to sit down and say, this is what we need to talk about. This is what we need to discuss. This is how we connect. It's the minimum. When I sit down and tell you, well, we get it. Please hit subscribe and hit the notification bell. It is to affect the algorithm for the sake of the black power potential. How are you using your online? Now, was it one of the things that we discussed where we talked about it, where we said, if you come out of COVID the same way you came in, you wasted God's time. You wasted the experience of being able to maintain and develop and grow into an experience where your black power potential goes up. Because a lot of people got training, they got development, they got growth, insights. They got to interact with people more online than they did anywhere else. Because when you're physically out and about, yeah, but now, yeah, you streaming, you calling people, video chatting. It's going crazy now. But how are we using it? It is time that organizations, and they have been doing it, but for the sake of the black power potential. No, it hasn't. And so we took also what had to change not only was the algorithms, and we can say, and we're talking, and let's deal with Pinterest has an algorithm. Instagram has an algorithm. YouTube has an algorithm. Facebook has an algorithm. Twitter has an algorithm. Twitch has an algorithm. And so when you're watching somebody become financially endowed through social media marketing, it's because they took time to study what platform they're going to be doing it on, how that algorithm works, and hitting the marks in that particular platform. Algorithm. But when we're dealing with the issue of mass communication, because it's the black power potential, when you see a lot of people talking and discussing and interacting, that don't go as viral, because this is what we're looking for: escapism. But the black power potential is powerful and is strong if we decide to use it. Now, one of the things that show during COVID, this went up. Now, I don't know if y'all know about, if y'all stock market, and it didn't hit, it didn't click as fast here. It didn't click as fast until I saw the numbers and be like, yo, I can't touch it. Zoom stock went way up. Way up. Not only did the stock go up, they had to also deal with infrastructure, because more people was dealing with Zoom as a platform than ever had before, and they weren't ready for the influx, but they sure was ready for the money. Now, we did stock in Moderna when they was looking to when this quote unquote antidote for COVID come out. This stock gonna blow up. And I told somebody, I said, COVID is going to subside when the stock stops escalating. That was my take on it. Right? Now, I'm not saying it was real, but they made money. And so video conferencing software, a lot of teachers had to learn how to do classes on Zoom. So the possibility of mass communication is there. The issue is, are we going to use it? In that effort of learning how to use social media, not for the sake of escapism, not for the sake of personal greed, but for the sake of liberating the people from bondage, changing our situation. There were individuals where churches, spiritual institutions, couldn't reach their people anymore. They had to learn how to use the Internet of Things. Me, I sat down and I was learning how to live stream years ago at a certain level of quality. Because now everybody's doing it, but then who's doing it with quality? And so everybody's scrambling, I could do it. And then you look and see quality. It doesn't matter also the quality in which you stream without the right algorithms. And that's, for me, is community support. Being able to convince your community that you need to participate in creating the algorithm to bring black people together. That is the black power potential. People are always trying to figure out how to go viral. Well, my issue is, how do we as a people go viral so that we can do what Garvey was doing? Now, me personally, when I started doing this and putting this together, this is my testimony. And if anybody was there, they can say, I had Garvey walk in my room with a man called Jemoji or Baby Ajiman, with another brother called Kalfani. And then I had Denmark VC in the room, and they were grabbing, they were walking around and said, brother, technology has reached the opportunity where black people can come together and unify. You got to find a means to do that. Hence, and it's some years ago, that's when I woke up and I started creating or learning what it takes to actually put this together. And being able to learn these algorithms, learn how to just simple like, comment, share, subscribe, notification bell, goes live, comment. And I've had these meetings with my community, and I told them, I said, look, everybody needs to say good morning when they log in. Everybody. And you need to make that announcement. You need to send that out. Everybody needs to say good morning. Everybody needs to comment, not on the after, because we have an after show like Oprah. The after show nice to show your respects is nice, but everybody needs to put those comments in the comment section, because it doesn't trigger your post going viral without the algorithm. It just don't. How do you make that happen? You just got to be. I mean, you got individuals out here. Uh, what is it called? Fans only, something like that. You got sisters out here just exploitation, just killing it. I'm gonna get my money. I'm gonna get that. I hate this word. That bag. Straight up escapism. Nobody, very few of us is dealing with the power of unification, mass communications, being able to communicate and talk to one another, build one another, create, and go out and produce in our own communities. Who'd go hungry? What kid would get miseducated that couldn't find a tutor? Your lights get out. Who couldn't get their bills paid? If you got 1 million people donating $1 to a particular family or fund, World of Akibaland, this is what we're doing. As I continue to shape and build the foundation, yes, I'm looking to experience a life of endless possibilities. When you look at the black power potential and all the aspects of life that we have, and this when we're dealing with the mass communication. I said be on the lookout for my next my move. I didn't someone who was watching before was or when World of Akibaland, which is the youth program in my community that I was on a part of the online part. Now we've had a nonprofit, but it was been defunct. I'm saying it. Utilizing it as a nonprofit, defunct. I'm saying it, and we're all over the country. Didn't make any sense, and I'm barking. What are the possibilities? The black power possibilities when it comes to mass communication. What are the black power possibilities if you can get this right? If we can communicate, we can connect, we can talk simply and pull together people under one umbrella. What is the black power potential for mass communication in today's time? When you got little kids who are online mastering this thing, coming out of high school as video gamers, knowing how to interact with other kids and creating things. Oh, yeah, we have Keebler Arcadia. Trust me, we about to launch something big. What is that possibility? So this is going to be the first time I mention it. And this is going to be the first time y'all see the visual for it. And this is not going to be the last time I push it. Because what we're trying to do with World of Akibaland, I said it's about time. It's about time that we do a World of Akibaland national/international Black Youth Conference. Teachers, educators, influencers, health advisors, mass communication, and bringing our youth together so that they understand the technology in which they live in and are able to use it for the sake of unifying and making sure that their lives as a people are better. World of Akibaland will be sending out the email, so y'all get ready if y'all got y'all on my email list. If not, I'll continue to keep you updated on how this is going. No, this is not going to happen in 2022 because I'm shooting for 2023. This is that announcement. I was up all night trying to see the vision of the logo, and then I sent it out, and my friend Adrian said, "This is the one." My daughter said, "This is the one." And so this is the one I'm running with because it's that time. And so we're going to build what we have within ourselves to make life better. Why? Because some of us truly see the black power potential and our ability to come together as a people for the sake of experiencing black power. Again, we don't need everybody. We just need those who are committed to seeing the rise of the African. Hopefully, you can free yourself from the dopamine that is released every time you scroll, every time you stream. when you're watching. It's dopamine. That's why when you put it down, it's hard to put it down. You pick it back up. They created these mobile apps on the same level as they do slot machines. And then you can't get up because it's triggering a chemical reaction in your mind. And so they keep us connected to the escapism, the dopamine. You don't even worry about life because you think life is real on a cell phone. And I try to tell people your profile is your autobiography. Oh, it's just for entertainment. Yeah, you're a drug addict. Dopamine. Ain't that something? But this is where we should be, and this is how we should be using it. Free yourself from your mental slavery and focus on the rise of the African in you. That is the possibility. We can have 40 countries, over 6 million people, and over 1,000 chapters of World of Akiba Land. Think about it. One love. Let the African in you rise.